Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Carol Baskin at Big Cat Rescue. I hear some of you are worried about storms brewing in the Gulf and headed our way. Yeah, that happens every single year. But for some of you, it might be your first year with us. And so I wanted to set your minds at ease that we are doing everything we possibly can to always make sure that our cats are safe. So we have capture equipment on site. We have a blowgun, a pole syringe, a dart pistol, 2 dart rifles, a 12-gauge shotgun, a 30-30 rifle, and a net gun. And our staff are trained in how to use those things. You'd be absolutely amazed at how accurate some of our marksmen are, including me. For transport cages and vehicles, we have 5 of those big circus wagons. We have a 2012 Toyota Tundra with an AC topper. We have a newer, I forget what year, 2017, 2018 van that's also made to pull our big rescue vehicle that can handle, I think, 3 of the tiger cages in it at a single time. We also do drills with our staff and volunteers about all kinds of things that can happen any time of year, such as heat stroke, escapes, maulings, fires, and hurricanes. And so for the kinds of things that we are prepared for, we know that global warming is going to continue to make weather a huge issue for us. And even though we've been very, very lucky here in 2023, we're still always on edge every time there's any news about any kind of tropical storm spinning up anywhere, because those things just go all over the place. If you've seen the spaghetti maps, you know what that looks like. So we are always being very, very careful to make sure that we have the supplies that we need always in storage so that we can handle these kinds of things and not be rushing out to the store like everybody else is during the last day before a hurricane. So how do you prepare a 67-acre sanctuary for a hurricane? You know, since 2004, when we had 4 major hurricanes in 6 weeks, every year since then has seemed like a cakewalk, but we're not going to be complacent because it just takes one cat getting loose, and that can be tragedy. So it's not something that we can say in a soundbite to you as far as how we prepare for hurricanes or tornadoes or flash flooding or any of the things that Florida is known for. But it starts with the cages. And our cages are built from galvanized wire panels, and they are twice what the state requires as far as the strength tensile goes. All of our open air cages have a roofed section, and when the winds get up to 30 miles per hour, we lock the cats up in their roof section. Now, if we're going to leave for the day at 5 o'clock, but we know that the weather says that come midnight, it's going to be that high, we're going to go ahead and lock them up because we don't want to have to come back at midnight. So we're going to prepare for all of that ahead of time. All of our cats have dens where they can escape the rain, and their dens are built on the highest parts of their enclosures. So even if their cages do flood temporarily, they're going to be able to stay dry, high and dry. And if there were like a massive storm surge that were to come in 20 feet over sea level, or 22 feet, which is, I think, what the sanctuary is. So let's say we've got a 20-foot wall of water coming at the sanctuary. They're going to be able to get to the top of their cages for the time that it takes for that to come in and go out. And then they'll have those high spots at the tops of their dens or their platforms where they can be until the rest of that water all subsides. Most other sanctuaries in past hurricanes reported losing their trees, but the way our cages are built around the trees, where I don't know if you can see this, but if this were the tree, then the cage comes in all around it. It created kind of a symbiotic relationship where our trees kept the cages anchored and the cages kept the trees anchored. So we didn't lose so many trees. In fact, I think we've only ever lost one, maybe, during all of the hurricanes that we've had. Hurricane preparedness really starts with our people, and so the chain of command is really clear. Everybody knows who's in charge and who needs to report to who, and we are all on text messages with each other under different group texts for operations, vet care, rehab, all of that, and so we can stay in constant contact with each other while we're getting prepared during the event. Well, during the event we'll be here, and then after the event with all of the cleanup. The cats are prepared for emergencies as well. You may see us doing operant conditioning with the cats and wonder, why on earth are you teaching that cat to come over to the side of the cage or to lay down? And the reason we're doing that is in an emergency, if we need to load that cat up, we need the cat to feel comfortable in an enclosed space, and we need the cat to come to us. So what happens if worst thing happens, a cat escapes due to some kind of a breach in the cage? Sadly, if it is a big cat and it's going over the wall, we have to shoot to kill. We cannot let a big cat escape into the community and harm someone. But anything short of that, we're going to try and catch that cat and get them back into their cage. And if they are running loose on the property, we're going to do everything that we can to safely return them to their cage. One of the things we've noticed over the years is that they don't seem to notice that people are in vehicles. And you probably see this like when you see these safaris and people are driving around in Jeeps and the cats are walking by the Jeep like there's nothing going on. When the people get out of the Jeep, that's when they get killed. And so it's the same way here. The cats, when they see a car, they don't feel like any need to attack the car, and you can get a whole lot closer to the animal if you need to. So we built this cage that goes over the top of a golf cart so that we can drive the golf cart right up to wherever we find a cat without any danger of us being hurt. We shelter in place. And the reason that we do that is because there is no safe way to pack up all of these cats and put them out on the road, because if they're out on the road, then they are subject to whichever way that hurricane turns. And we have frequently seen where a hurricane is supposed to land in one spot and lands in a totally different spot. So if we're trying to outrun it, we're never going to be able to do that in Florida's traffic. And we're going to be stuck out there on the road with the cats in a much less safe environment. So we shelter here at Big Cat Rescue throughout the storm. Usually whenever there's a hurricane, you lose your power because it doesn't take much for you to lose your power. One power line down and you're out of luck. But we have generators here. We have propane tanks. We have fuel here on site so that we can continue to take care of the cats. We always have a stockpile of water. And in the very worst case, we've got these lakes. So the cats are going to have something to drink. We have freezers that are full of food. We usually make sure whenever we see a storm heading this way that we are at full capacity, and that can be 17,000 pounds in our big freezer and 3,000 pounds in our small freezer. So we make sure that the cats are going to have plenty of food, and then those backup generators are to keep those freezers online because you don't want that all defrosting and going bad. Something we get to try out every time there's a hurricane are our pumps. We have a bunch of pumps for moving water. So we know which way the water comes to the sanctuary. It comes from all that development out north straight down to us. And it keeps going past us as long as we can keep it moving. So we have pumps that take the water from the first part of the property and move it to the back part of the property to keep that water flow going through as fast as we can without flooding the actual grounds. Thank you, Victor and Jamie, for keeping those pumps running. Tornadoes are the worst part of hurricanes because it's a lot faster. It comes on out of the blue, and we have to be ready for that. And so one of the nice things about our cages is they're built in sections. So even if a tornado were to rip out some portion of a cage, we still have the ability to move the cat over to the safer side of the cage and shut the doors. Whenever there is an imminent strike from a hurricane, it's a slumber party here at Big Cat Rescue. So what we do is we invite all of our keepers and all of our staff to come to the sanctuary. They can bring their pets. We set up beds and cages for everybody's pets so that we can all be here on the sanctuary grounds together. We can all assist each other. We know that there's going to be food and water supplies here. There's going to be electricity. There's going to be fuel. Everything that everyone would need will be here at the sanctuary. And the exchange that we get for that is a good time with all of our friends. And they all, well, as good a time as you can have in the path of a hurricane, but it's a bonding experience, let me tell you. And so it's during that period of time that we have everybody here together that gives us the opportunity to go out every hour on the hour to check the cats and make sure that they're okay. We get in the big truck, we roll around the property through the entire sanctuary grounds to make sure none of the trees are down on the cages, to make sure nothing has been breached, and we check that every hour to make sure that the cats are all okay. So one of the other things that we are always mindful of is every single day our keepers are trained to lay eyes on the cat. They have to see every single cat every single day when they clean the cages. So they get really good at spotting cats even in a freaking downpour. They can tell you if they're seeing eyes flashing back from their dens or not. And so we have a really good sense of where the cats are, and we can make sure that we can keep them as safe as possible. And of course, there's no guarantee that anybody will survive a hurricane or a tornado, but we do everything humanly possible to do that, and we're able to do that because we have the support of such amazing people like you. So thank you so much. Thank you very, very much for being supportive of the cats here at the sanctuary. Once they move to Turpentine Creek, they'll still have to worry about tornadoes now and then, but no more hurricanes. So that's going to be great. And when you talk about disaster preparedness, the worst thing that we're dealing with is the heat. And so it's going to be a lot cooler there for the cats. And I am really, really thankful that we have this partnership with Turpentine Creek Wildlife Refuge to make our cats as comfortable as possible when they do move there, which should be in the next few months. Thank you. Mwah.